Thanks for being here. Uh, this practice tonight is going to be mostly about mobility, joint mobility, muscle fascial mobility. So we most of the time when people are talking about mobility, they're thinking about the joints or the spine, the hip, the knee, the ankles. But there's also mobility within the muscles, the fascia, which is the connective tissue. And for a lot of us, it's not just the joints, it's the ability to lengthen and contract muscles and not being restricted by tension in the muscle or constriction of the fascia that might be limiting your movement. So we'll be doing joint and fascial mobility for a large part of the practice today. Um, and I want you to move within comfortable ranges of motion, meaning we're not trying to push to a hard edge or an uncomfortable position as we begin to move. So, so listen to your body here as always, but as we move, you might start more conservatively and then add a little bit more movement as it feels comfortable, never pushing towards the end ranges of motion. So we're going to start on our backs here. And as far as props go, you might want a couple of yoga blocks. I'm going to be using the blanket mostly for padding my knees today. We're starting here on our backs and a little bit of stillness. So whatever position is comfortable to you. I've been feeling my ears sort of riding up towards my shoulders today. So I'm going to bring my arms out to the sides a little, palms facing up so that the backs of my shoulders can rest into the floor. You might take a moment to bring your attention to your breath. Feeling the air entering your body through your nostrils, exiting out through the nostrils. Start to slow your breathing down. So we're lengthening out both inhale and exhale. This slow down, lengthened breath is what we're going to use to coordinate our movement. And because we are focusing on a little bit more mobility in the poses and the transitions that we are doing, really syncing up the movement to the breath. And this is the breath we're going to use throughout the practice. We'll take the next few breaths, setting an intention for the practice today. And perhaps you've come with your own intention for the class, and you could bring that to the front of your mind. And if not, I'm going to just offer this simple thought of being open. Maybe it's about opening the body or certain parts of the body, the shoulders, the neck, the back. Maybe it's about being open and curious about how the body moves, where you feel restriction, where you feel open. Take the next few breaths, set this thought in the front of your mind, being open. So we'll begin to move from here, and I'm starting with a small movement of a backward pelvic tilt. So knees bent, feet flat. I'll have you flatten the lower back into the floor and tip the tailbone up without lifting your hips. And then on your inhale, relax that. The low back sort of naturally pulls away from the floor. Exhale, flattening the lower back into the floor, tailbone tipping up. Inhale, releasing it. Do a few more here and just get the feel for that pelvis rocking back, the lower back flattening and then releasing away from the floor. One option is to keep it right here, especially if your low back is tight or stiff or painful, or you could turn this into a flowing bridge. So heels lined up with the sitting bones, arms by the sides. We start with the pelvic tilt, lift the hips, the lower back, the middle back, then the upper back, and then come right back down. Lower the upper back, the middle back, press the lower back into the floor, release the tailbone at the bottom. Let's do a few more. So tip the tailbone, roll up the spine to the top of the bridge, and then roll back down the spine to lower the back and the hips. So you could keep it right here with the arms down by the sides, or you could add some arm movement to this. So as you lift the spine, you'll reach the arms up overhead towards the wall behind you. And then we lower the spine and the arms together. Let's do two more. So working here, this flowing bridge on that spinal mobility, warming up the muscles around the spine, adding the shoulder movement to start to open up through the shoulders. This time I'm going to leave my arms overhead, but lower the spine and the hips back down. If the shoulders don't like this position, you could bring them out to the sides instead. We'll straighten the legs out and form your body into a star. So the feet are wide, the arms are out a little bit. And on your inhale, stretch out through all four limbs. Stretch out through your heels so you don't cramp in the calves. And then exhale, relax it. Do a couple more. Inhale, lengthen out, arms, legs, exhale, let it go. One more. On your exhale, pull the knees in, gently hugging in here, holding shins, or maybe with knee issues, you could hold the backs of legs instead. You rock a little bit side to side. Coming back into the center here on your back, reach your feet and your hands up towards the ceiling. You don't have to straighten the legs all the way here. Keep a slight bend, especially if you're tight. And then circle your wrists and ankles. And you might feel or hear a few pops as you circle. And then circle the other way. Back to the center and just shake out your arms and legs. And then roll onto your side. We're going to come into a kind of fetal position here. And you can either use the bottom arm to support the head or slide a pillow or a folded blanket underneath here, but we're trying to keep the neck relaxed and not engaged. We're coming into this twist, and I call the dish rag twist because we're twisting bottom and top of the body in opposite directions. So we're starting with this top arm forward, straight out from the shoulder. Sweep it up and then back behind you. Turn your head in that direction. Now this part's optional, but I kind of like it. Stretching the top leg forward. So top arm and leg reaching in opposite directions. And then we switch it. Arm comes forward and the leg goes back on the exhale. So you inhale, sweep the arm back, leg forward. Exhale, sweep the arm forward and the leg back. Let's do a few more. And I'm kind of jutting my heel out here, again, to get some stretch through the calf. And so I don't tend to cramp in that calf muscle. We'll come onto the side and then roll it on over to the other side to do the same thing there. So make sure you support the head. And we're starting with this top arm straight out from the shoulder. Inhale, sweep it back. Top leg coming forward. Your gaze is following this moving arm. Exhale, arm forward, leg back. A few more. Inhale to open the chest. Stretch the leg across. Exhale. Bringing that arm forward, leg back. Couple more. we'll come onto our side and then pressing yourself up to hands and knees. You might choose to pad those knees with a blanket or another padding here, folding up the middle of the mat. Hands and knees, remember you could have loose fist if the flat palm doesn't feel good, or forearms on the floor or on yoga blocks here, taking that pressure off the wrist. We're going to bring our left foot out to the side. Sole of the foot is down on the floor and the toes are pointing forward. And a little cat and cow movement with the spine. So we're rounding through the back, tucking the chin and tailbone under, belly button towards spine, and then lifting the tailbone, belly down, chest forward. And do a few more. So we exhale, round through the back, push the floor away. Inhale, hips up, chest forward. 2 or 3 more like this, and you might be a little limited in your spinal movement just because of that leg out to the side. So inner thigh tension here might limit, especially that cow movement. We'll bring our spine back into neutral, and we're going to walk this left foot forward, or maybe toe heel it forward, bending that knee. So now my left foot is off the mat, and my left knee is bent, and I'm coming up into this upright position. And try angling this right foot in a little bit. So my right toes are pointing towards the left side of the mat. Working on this hip mobilization here. So we're going to tuck the tailbone under. So we're flattening the lower back like that pelvic tilt we started with. I'm not rounding over into a full cat of I'm reaching the top of the head up. Pelvis stays tucked under, and we bend through the left knee and hip and then rise it back up. So tailbone stays tucked under, inhale, bend through that left knee and rise back up. I'm just going to turn to face you so you can see it from this side. So I'm not leaning over, staying upright, but my tailbone stays tucked under. This is going to mobilize that ball and socket joint of the hip, and maybe a little inner thigh release here too. All right, we're going to walk that foot back, coming back into the hands and knees, and we switch sides here. So that right foot is going to come out to the side, sole of the foot down. The foot is in line with the hip, so my leg is making like a 90-degree angle with my torso. Cat and cow movement. So we're rounding through the back, exhaling, tucking the tailbone, the chin. Inhale, tailbone up, belly down, chest forward, and a few more. Exhale, rounding, pushing the floor away. Inhale, arching the spine downward. Several more. Inspecting that limits of range of motion in the spine, or maybe it's the inner thigh, and not pushing through it or past it. That's how you injure yourself. Bringing that spine back into neutral. So you might go ahead and pivot that left knee in a little bit, left foot rather, in a little bit, and then walk, toe heel that right foot in a little closer to the mat, bending that right knee, coming up into that upright pose. So that left foot is angled a little more towards the right side of the mat, and tuck the tailbone under. So coming out of that kind of banana arch of the back, tailbone tucked under, and your right leg is not 90 degrees out. It's more like 45 probably. We'll bend through that right knee and rise back up. So I'm keeping the tailbone tucked under the whole time. Inhale, bending. Exhale, coming upright. A few more. Again, you are just honoring whatever range of motion you have, whether it's limited by the hip joint, inner thigh here, maybe it's the knee. We're not pushing past it. We're just looking for openness and not even necessarily more range of motion. This time we're going to toe heel that right foot onto the mat. We'll bring both hands down around that front foot and lifting that back knee. We'll step this back into a plank. Lower both knees, come all the way down. And then from here, pull the elbows toward your back pockets. Inhale, lift the head and chest. And then on your exhale, lower, turn the head. Elbows toward your back pockets. Inhale, lift the head, chest, low cobra. Exhale, lower, turn your head. Come back up through center, lift the head and chest, and then press yourself up. Pull that low belly in to bring yourself to the hands and knees again. 1 foot back, this is our toe rocking movement. So we're shifting forward, bending through the toes, and then shifting back, pressing through the heel. Inhale, shifting forward, toes bend. Exhale, press the heel back, that little calf stretch. And we'll do a few more here, forward and backward. So here, toe joint, that big toe joint mobility, the ankle mobility, and then as we were talking about before, this fascial mobility, the muscle and the fascia, the tendons being able to move a little bit more freely, as well as the joints. Lower the knee, other foot back. Same thing. Inhale, shifting forward, toes bending. Exhale, press the heel back, calf stretch. That big toe joint is a very common site for arthritis. So don't be surprised if you've got some stiffness here. And I definitely do not want you to push past that stiffness. All right, we're going to lower that knee back down. And you could keep going here with that toe rocking movement, or you could come into a downward facing dog. So that hands are forward of shoulders, fingers spread, tuck the toes, hips up and back. Now, if you're tight, as I am today, you might keep a little bend in your knees here so you can reach the hips up and back and the spine is long as opposed to rounded. And then take some movements with this. You could be pedaling the feet. That similar kind of toe rocking we did from the knees down. You could lift the heels and lower. You could shake that head out. Settle into the down dog here. And then looking forward, take as many steps as you need, bending the knees. Walk the feet to the front of the mat. We'll bend both knees, look forward. Inhale, rise up. Maybe you reach your arms up. Interlace your fingers, palms face up towards the ceiling. Get tall. Now turn to face you so you can see. And then arch over towards one side. Inhale up through center. Exhale, arch over to the other side. Inhale up, get tall through center. Exhale over. Inhale up, exhale to the other side. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release that. Shake out your arms, roll the shoulders here. Moving that blanket out of the way if you have it there. And we'll come into some good mornings here, waking up the glutes and the back of the body a little bit more. So we're standing with our feet about shoulder distance apart. I'll have you put a little bend to the knees. Now this is more of a hinge than it is a squat. So we're hinging forward from the hips, and then we're squeezing the butt to rise back up. So you inhale, hinge forward. Exhale, squeeze the glutes, rise up. Let's do a few more here. So you're hinging far enough that you start to feel a stretch in your hamstrings, the muscles on the backs of your thighs. But that's your signal to come up from there. And you're wanting to use your glutes, the buttocks muscles, to do the powerful work of lifting the torso and bringing the hips forward again. One more. All right, come on up, roll the shoulders, shake out your arms a little bit. And then a little bit more of this kind of warm up. I'm going to have you take a yoga block. And if you don't have one, you're going to pretend you have a yoga block, or it could be a ball here that you're holding onto. Sometimes do this with a big physio ball, the yoga balls here as well. So we're going to hold whatever it is, the prop here in your hands. You've got your feet about shoulder distance apart. We're starting with a little bit of a knee bend, so a tiny little squat. We'll bring that block or ball down by one hip, and then we're sweeping that block up over the opposite shoulder but you're going to pivot away. So notice my heel comes up off the ground here, and then we're going to bring it back down to the hip, that knee bend. So I inhale, sweep the block up and over the opposite shoulder. The heel pivots up off the ground, and then we exhale, lower back down. So I'm making a diagonal here with my arms. I'm pivoting on the foot I'm twisting away from so I don't twist my knee. Coming back into that little squat as I come back down. And I'm going slow, right? Instead of a big chopping motion with this. And I'm lengthening at the top, and I'm exhaling and grounding it down. Let's do one more. We'll bring it back down, roll those shoulders, sway a little bit, shake your hips, and we'll do that on the other side. So we've got that little bend to the knees. We're going to bring the block or the ball by that other hip, and then we're sweeping that up and over the other shoulder, pivot on the foot that you're twisting away from, and then bring it back down to the hip, that little squat. Inhale, reach it up and over, exhale it, bring it down into the squat. A few more. All right, come on up, roll those shoulders. You can put the block down here. And I'll have you come on up to the front of the mat. And if you've got those yoga blocks, bring them close to the front here. And I want you to take just a medium step back here with one foot. So we're not going into lunge or even that warrior one. So it's a shorter stance than that. We've got both knees straight and both feet pointing towards the front. And you might need to adjust the feet once you see where we're going here. So we're going to shift our weight onto the front foot. So I'm lifting the back heel, and then I'm shifting the weight onto the back foot, lifting my front toes. So shift forward, back heel lifts, shift back, front toes lift. And if you're too far apart, it's hard to shift. So you might need to just adjust that. Like, so this is really almost like sort of a textbook picture, in physical therapy textbook picture about gait or walking pattern. This is what it looks like. So we're practicing pushing off through the toe and getting that ankle movement. You could stay with this back foot grounded, or next time you shift forward, lift the back foot briefly and then lower, shift back. Focusing the gaze on a non-moving spot will help with that balance piece. Could keep the hands still, or they sweep forward and back with the direction of your weight shift. All right, lowering that back foot here. You probably can keep a pretty similar stance as we get ready to come into pyramid pose. So hands on the hips, inhale, get tall. Maybe you arch back from behind the heart. On the exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips. Pause here before you come all the way down, just to adjust the hips. You'll pull the front hip back and the back hip forward. And then you could either lower hands to the thigh with a little bend to the knee. Hands could come down to the blocks. Maybe you're able to come down to the floor here with your hands. But if you're needing to keep the spine long because you're tight or you have low bone density in the spine, having the hands elevated here keeps the compression out of the vertebrae. And then a little bit more with that ankle, this front foot. If you can, this might be hard because your calves are tight. Rock back on that front heel and then lower. Inhale, rocking back on that front heel. Exhale to lower. Let's do about three or so more. Lowering that front foot, bend the front knee, step it forward. Strong legs. Inhale, rise up to stand. Bring your arms up, interlace the fingers, get tall up through the arms. Exhale, lean over towards one side. Inhale, get tall, reach up through the palms of the arms. Exhale, lean over to the other side. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, release those arms. You could swing them out, shake it out. We'll do that on the other side. So it'll be the right foot, or whichever one you didn't do, stepping back into, this is that straight leg stance position. So hopefully you can see me okay. See, the sun's coming right from behind me right now. It'll go down a little bit. So hands on the hips, getting tall, tailbone towards the earth, top of the head up. We're shifting forward, weight onto the front foot, back heel lifts, and then we shift back, front toes lift. And I almost always need to adjust here. I'm almost always too wide apart, or my stance is too deep. So it's not hard. It is actually harder. It's harder to shift the weight, and you're going to compensate and do something else here if your stance, your stride is too long. You could stay here with the feet down, or you can lift that back foot as you shift forward. Arms could sweep forward and back with your weight shift. So it's a very brief pause when you put that weight on the front foot. Oops, 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 I almost did a little cartwheel forward. And then when you bring both feet down, we're going to pause here. Hands on the hips, inhale, get tall. Maybe take that arch from behind the heart. And your exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips. Pause before you get all the way down, adjusting hips. Pull the front hip back and the back hip forward. And then folding over. It could be hands on the thigh, a little knee bend, or hands down on the blocks, or maybe hands on the floor. You could stay with this or rocking back on that front heel. So opening up through the back of the leg, but also strengthening these front shin muscles. Ankle mobility, important in the catch. And these front shin muscles actually important in the catch because your foot is strapped in, locked in. Foot down, bend the front knee, step it forward. Bend both knees, inhale, rise up. Again, reaching up, interlace the fingers, palms face up, get tall. Arc it over towards one side. On the exhale, inhale, come up, press up through the hands. Exhale, arc it over to the other side. Inhale, reach up, get taller. Exhale, release. Shake those arms, roll the shoulders out here. So coming to face, you could either face where you are or face the long edge of the mat if you want to keep your feet on the mat. We'll step our feet out wide, so they're wider than our shoulders, and the toes are going to be turned out here. Coming into a goddess, so we'll bend through the knees and bend through the hips. Working on the spinal mobility here, so we're hinging from the hips and bring the hands down on the knees or just above the knees here on your thighs. I'm going to turn so you can see my profile for this one. So my spine stays long and never rounds during this, but I'm going to twist. So I'm lowering one shoulder down, looking away from it. Come back through center to lengthen the spine. Lower the other shoulder down in the center, look away. Come back through that center position with the spine. We twist on the exhale. Inhale, re-lengthen in that center part. Come back through center, strong legs, rise on up. Roll those shoulders back and down here a few times. I'll turn to face you again. Now this time, bring your feet in a little narrower. They're going to be closer to shoulder distance or maybe slightly wider than that. This is our balancing goddess. So this kind of wide-legged squat is the goddess pose here, but we're going to keep it narrow because we're shifting our weight side to side. So I'd like you to come into that shallow squat, bend the knees, bend the hips. If we lengthen tailbone down, the top of the head up, focusing the gaze here in a non-moving spot, that's going to help. Come into the cactus arm position. So just be aware, are the shoulders riding up? Can we allow those shoulder blades to slide back down the back a little bit? I'm going to do a less challenging version, then you can decide if you want to go to more challenge. So we'll shift our weight towards one side, come up on the tiptoe of the other foot, arms reach out, and then we lower back into that goddess. Go to the other side, shift towards it, tiptoe of the other foot, arms out, exhale into the goddess. Inhale, shift, exhale, settle. Inhale, shift, exhale, settle. So keep going. You could stay here where that one toe always stays down, or maybe you briefly lift, gentle land. Inhale, shift, lift, exhale, gentle land. You got it. Focusing the gaze on that non-moving spot can be helpful. All right, keep going. Actually, moving with this one is easier than pausing, but if you're like, Laura, give me challenge, pause on the next one. Shoulders away from the ears. Breathe. Feel those outer hip muscles working. Gentle land into the goddess. Other side. Hold. Shoulders away from the ears. Breathe. Gentle land. Woo. Come on up. Woo. Let it go. Shaking it out here. Nice. Come on up to the front of the mat. And we'll have our feet like yoga mat distance apart. So a couple of options here. I'm going to do interlace fingers behind my back. If this doesn't work for you, you could always use a strap, which I don't have, but you could have a strap here between your hands so they're more shoulder distance apart. So interlace fingers or hold the strap, roll the shoulders back and down, lift that breastbone, bring the gaze up. Take one more breath here. On the exhale, bend the knees and the hips generously, shifting the hips back, reach the hands back, the knuckles back. You could stay here if you need to keep that spine long, or generous bend to the knees, fold the torso to the inside of the legs. Maybe those hands come up and over. Maybe you shift a little side to side and the hands go left and right. Shake out that head if you're in that folded over position. We'll bring both hands down to the floor here. And you might have those yoga blocks right there. Step your left foot back. Lower the back knee. Now you might want some extra padding under that knee. So because our right foot's a little wide, we landed in this lizard pose position. Hands, shoulders are on the inside of that front foot. You might not need the blocks. You could be up on fingertips here, but I like this elevation, allowing me to lengthen my spine. So you could let the hips sink down forward, but reach the top of the head up here. So the neck feels long. You're not hunched into the shoulders. You could stay here with the back knee down, or you could lift it up. So coming into a twist where my left hand stays down, but I feel like this high level of the block is unstable. So you could bring that down onto the lower side, or you could go even higher and kind of stack your blocks here. And we're sweeping that right arm up, neck long. Circle that wrist. Circle it the other way. We'll lower that hand down here. And then we'll bring both hands down. We're stepping this back into a plank. Maybe move that blanket out of the way. Knees down or up, lower all the way down to the ground. We will do the other side. I won't forget on that lizard pose, just a little interlude here with a twisting cobra. It might feel good to the low back, the SI joint, to bring your feet to the edges of the mat here. Bring your hands off the mat, out to the sides at shoulder level, elbows bent pointing towards the ceiling. You're up on tented fingers. Inhale, lift the head and chest. So you're in like a low cobra. Very little pushing with the hands. And then like that goddess twist, we lower the shoulder, look away. Inhale, lift up. through center, head, chest. Exhale, lower the other shoulder, look away. Inhale, lift up through center. Exhale, twist. Inhale through center, lengthen. Exhale, twist. One more here to each side. Bring it back through center. Lower the head. Let's take a little break. Just wiggle those hips a little bit. Bring your hands underneath you. Press yourself up to hands and knees. Might feel good to come into a child's pose, hips over heels, or puppy pose, hips over knees. That puppy pose is less compression in the spine and the disc. So if there's any worry about compression there, puppy is your best bet. Take a few breaths here, forehead resting on the floor or hands. Coming back to your intention for the practice, your own that you set, or this feeling of openness. I did not forget that lizard on the other side. We're going to make our way there. You could just go ahead and swing that left foot around and forward, or you could come into a down dog here, hips up and back, that long spine. Looking forward, step the left foot to the outside of that left hand, and it might not get there. You can help it. Lower that back knee. You might want that extra padding underneath. Perhaps you find those blocks or you come up on your fingertips here. And then allowing the hips to sink down forward. Let the top of the head reaching up. So neck feels long, the waist feels long. And we're coming into this twist. So find some stability with the block, whether it's lowering it or two blocks there together. And sweep that left arm up. Oh, I forgot. You could lift the back knee if you'd like here. Neck long, you're not sunk into that right shoulder. And then circle the wrist. Keep breathing. Circle it the other way. And we're lowering that hand back down. And we're stepping this back into down dog. Take a few more breaths, maybe pedaling the feet here. Let's lift our right leg up, bend the knee, open the front of the right hip towards the right side. So my right foot is now coming to my left side. And then to try to level out the shoulders, look under that left armpit. Maybe you see the foot. Lower that foot back down. We'll do this on the other side. Left leg up, bend the knee, open the front of the left hip towards the left. You could look under that right armpit. Maybe you see the foot, maybe not. Lowering that foot back down. We're lowering both knees down to the floor here. And we're coming into a seated position. You could be sitting cross-legged, maybe hips elevated on the blanket as I'm doing. You could be sitting back on your heels with a block or two underneath your sitting bones. You could be sitting perched on the front edge of a seat, a chair rather. I'd like you to be able to, I want you to sit tall. So if it's hard to sit tall on the floor, sit perched on the front edge of a chair, as we are coming into some nerve glide techniques here for the neck. Nerves that come off the spinal cord in your neck come down here through the chest under the collarbone, and then they innervate the arms. And nerve glide techniques are like mobility techniques, but it's mobility for the nerve. If the nerve gets bound down and tightened down and constricted connective tissue, it can't move very easily, and then sometimes gets pinched and you get nervy pain down the arm, which can happen with repetitive use, squeezing of the hands, or forward shoulder position. So we're going to bring one hand forward and we're making the OK symbol. This is for our ulnar nerve that innervates the outer arm, forearm, down to the pinky finger. So you're going to keep that OK symbol, but tip your fingers back towards your face. So if you start to feel a little sensation down to the pinky, that's good. And then we're going to let it go. We'll keep the OK symbol, but we'll bring the fingers away. So you inhale, bring the fingers towards your face till you feel a little bit down to the pinky, and then you exhale, let it go. That's all we're doing, but if you'd like to add a head tilts towards the pinky when it comes towards you, and then it tilts away as the fingers go away. Inhale, fingers towards you, head tilts towards that side. Exhale, head away, fingers away. A couple more. Keep this gentle, like everything else we've done, we're not pushing. So especially here with nerves, do not like to be stretched. So we never hold it, we tug and then we release. Okay, let that go. Take a couple of backward shoulder rolls from here, and then we do the other side. So, OK symbol. We're tipping the fingers back towards the face, so you maybe feel a little bit down to the pinky, and then let that go. So start with just the hand. Inhale, fingers towards you. Exhale, let it go. And you could add the head. The head tilts towards the fingers as they come towards you. The head tilts away as the fingers go away. I'm not cranking my head around, I'm just going with it here. So when we add the head, we pull the nerve from the fingers in as it comes towards you. And then when the fingers go away, we give from that side and pull from the neck in as we tilt the head. And I'm usually just doing like 6 to 8 of these, and that's enough. If you were to do these to help, let it go. You never want to do really more than 8 twice a day is plenty. More than that, you're going to aggravate, you're going to irritate the nerve as opposed to freeing it up. So those shoulder rolls from here, I'm going to have you come to lie on one side as we set up for a quad stretch here. So you could support the head with the arm or block underneath it. You might need this strap, which I don't have with me here today, but if you know it's hard to reach that foot, make sure you have a strap or a towel you could wrap around the ankle. We're going to bring the top foot back, top hand reaching for the foot, where the strap is holding that foot and ankle. Lengthen that kneecap towards the foot of the mat, and you might start to feel some of your hip flexors open up a little bit more with this. That lengthened breath. One more breath. We're letting this foot go. Roll onto the other side. Most of us, but especially rowers, have very strong quads. Sometimes when things are strong, they can get tight. Pulling that other foot back, make sure you support the head. Gentle stretching rather than aggressive stretching works better. Kneecap lengthening towards the foot of the mat. Consistency is what helps the most, meaning doing this stretch or some version of a quad stretch daily, probably even twice a day. We're going to let that foot go and roll onto your belly again. So we did that twisting cobra where we're twisting the upper body here, right, with that one. Now we're going to keep the lower body relatively stable and twist from the bottom part of the body. So if you haven't done this one before, you might want to watch me on the first one or two and join in. There's a way to make this more gentle, and I start with the more gentle, and you might need to go there, especially if you have some stiffness in the lower back. So we're going to have our hands underneath, sort of like we were setting up for a cobra, and you'll bend one knee, lift that thigh, and then you're pushing with that same side hand to bring the leg behind you. And you could turn the head in the opposite direction of the leg and then lower back onto your belly. So we bend the other knee, lift the thigh, reach the foot behind you, look away from it, and come back onto your belly. So you inhale, lift the leg, twisting. And maybe that foot just kind of hangs mid-air. Exhale into your belly. Or if you have the openness in your hip flexors, the rotation enough in your spine, maybe that foot taps the floor. Maybe you're like, Laura, I'm at least a foot away from touching the floor. That is fine too. And remember, we're just finding openness. We're not forcing, we're not cranking, we're not looking for a chiropractic adjustment here, although you might get a pop in your spine. Come onto your belly. Let it all rest here, head coming down. You could bend the knees and rock the legs side to side, a little windshield wiper motion. Lowering the feet back down, rolling onto your back. Typically, we do a supported bridge and hip flexor stretch towards the end because it's my reward to you for um, making it to this point in the class. But I want to do the supported bridge here first and open the hip flexors before we come into active bridge, and I'll tell you why. So I'm going to use the block, could be a foam roller, folded blanket, underneath your hips here, really underneath your sacrum. Fleshy part of the butt is below it, but your low back is above it. And I'll have you pull one knee in, gently hold it. The other leg is straight. Heel is down on the ground. That straightened leg, heel is down. You could pull this bent knee off to the side just a little, so the knee's slightly wider than the hips. And maybe you're feeling some openness, some length, some stretch to the front of this hip and thigh, maybe even into the abdomen, to the deep hip flexor. You could try bringing that straightened leg off to the side a little bit more. Just see what happens there. So I'm hoping to find a little more length and openness through the front of the quads, front of the hips, before we lift into that bridge pose. So then we don't have something actively resisting us rising up. Maybe that straight leg, you bring it back to center. You can even try crossing it over midline. See how that feels, kind of outer hip side of the waist. Take another breath or two. Bring that foot back into center and then switch sides. So that bent knee, we're going to pull it off to the side, just slightly wider than the hip. First, just rest. Let gravity, this prop, produce the openness on the front of the hip and thigh here of that straightened leg. For some of this is plenty. You can stay right here. You don't have to play around with it at all. Just right there. Let gravity do the work. Isn't that lovely? If you'd like to play with the angle, slide that straightened leg, that foot out to the side. And for me, I can really only go a few inches with this before my inner thigh and my hip flexors say, like, they literally just slide that foot back in, that tension that I have there from this angle. But I'm not forcing it. I'm not trying to tighten and pull. And then maybe you slide that foot across midline so you get some lengthening through the outer waist, outer hip. Bring it all back to center. Bring both feet down. Lift your hips and take that prop out from underneath. Maybe a few windshield wiper motions here. So I'm taking you into active bridge next. If you're like, oof, Laura, I've had enough, you can come back. to that supported bridge here. You could even come into legs up for a little inversion. But with active bridge, we did the flowing bridge before. This one we're going to hold. So heels lined up with the sitting bones, arms by the sides, lift your hips and back. Tuck the shoulder blades in underneath. Press your arms into the floor. Maybe get a little more lift in that upper back. If you notice your weight going to the outer edge of the feet, the knees splaying out, bring the knees in line with the hips, press into the big toe, or at least that knuckle on the underside behind the big toe. We'll bring the arms out from underneath, coming down onto your back. Once you're down, maybe a few windshield wipers. Bringing the knees back in through center. Let's cross our right ankle over the left knee. And then pull the legs in towards you. Now, instead of reaching between the legs to hold on to the outside of that right knee and the right foot. Or maybe grab that right ankle from over top, holding that right leg position and stretch that left leg out. You could play with this here. I have that knee kind of angled out. Maybe that feels good. Maybe you pull that knee towards the opposite shoulder. Maybe that gives you the stretch that you want. Maybe you keep holding on here. You could start to straighten that right knee, probably not all the way, and then bring it back down. That's giving me a little outer hamstring stretch here on that right leg. Being really gentle with it. Lower that foot. And then we're going to press the left ankle over the right knee. Pull the legs towards you. Instead of holding onto the right leg, hold onto the outside edge of that left foot and the left knee. Bring that right leg down. It could be knee bent. That straightened leg's going to give you more of that left hip buttock stretch here. Maybe you stay with that. Maybe you pull this knee towards the opposite shoulder for stretch at a different angle. You could keep the outer knee and the foot. Maybe you start to straighten the knee and bring it back down, but don't go far with that. Well, most of us won't be able to go very far with that. And remember, we're keeping this mild to moderate sensation of stretch. We're looking for openness, not gumby, bendy, loosey-goosey. All right, we'll lower that foot back down. Decide if there's something you'd like to do here before Shavasana. It could be a reclined twist. It could be a happy baby. Maybe it's a different hip stretch that you like, an inversion. Thinking about what position you'd like to be in for Shavasana that will allow you the to release the most tension in your body. So it could be legs up on a chair, legs up the wall. It could be lying on your belly, butterfly position. I'm going to come into legs up the wall here with a little elevation under my hips. Wherever you've chosen to be, make any little adjustments you need to here to get comfortable, changing the leg or the arm position, or sometimes I even use both hands to lift my skull here. So interlace fingers sort of at the base of my skull, lift and then lengthen the neck, and then bring the hands apart and slowly lay the back of the head back down. Wherever you've chosen to be, you could take an inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, let out a sigh. And you can do it again. Letting your body rest, recover, settle in, be still for maybe the first time today since you woke up this morning, resting for the next few minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring some gentle movements in, like wiggling the fingers and toes. Maybe it's turning the head, circling the wrists, the ankles. If a bigger full body stretch would feel good, reach your arms overhead, your legs out, maybe stretch to one side and then the other. Bend the knees, roll to your side, pausing here for a moment. Appreciating your body, your breath, your health, your yoga practice. Pressing yourself off to a seated position. Thank you all for being here, sharing your practice, your energy. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste.